This is one that I promised Cypher of CrowdSourcedPolitics I'd get into. We've been having a little back and forth on guns in some of the side chats in Discord, and it kind of spilled over onto YouTube now. And he made a couple arguments. They're like, that sounds awful reminiscent of the arguments we just had a few days before on Discord. But it's an interesting guy. Shall not infringe. Oh, we'll get to that. We will get to that. So we're going to get into this video, folks. Now, we're going to shift gears here a little to something a little different, but I figured this should be addressed. Cypher, also aka CrowdSourcedPolitics, put out a video that I feel there's parts of it that are actually worth examining, and then there's parts that need a bit of pushback, and there's parts that are actually pretty good to this video. So I'm going to give there's two different, there's the substance and the form. The substance I want to address as the video goes, and the form of it I'm going to address afterwards. So, folks, without further ado, let's get right into this. This is from CrowdSourcedPolitics, Cypher on YouTube. Now, the video, again, bit of form thing, loose guns, lost children. It's hyperbole, but it's the wrong kind of persuasion. But we'll get into that at the end of the video. Cypher of CrowdSourcedPolitics on YouTube. Give the guy, check him out. He's definitely on the left, but actually a fairly nice guy. You know what I mean? Like he's a dude on the left, but he's not like one of those woke scolds. So he'll actually listen to you and try to have a discussion. And we've had some back and forth and some disagreements on panels on Tiberius. God, I think we've been on panels together on Dylan, on Prime, on Tiberius. Like we both kind of made the round. So without further ado, and I'm going to be pausing this often, folks, so that we can get into the back and forth.
And now we are going to talk about the mass shootings that we've experienced over the last several weeks. So out of respect for the victims, we're going to have a moment of silence before we talk about this. Please join me in that moment of silence. All right. Thank you for joining me in that moment of silence. I greatly appreciate it.
You know, I'm just going to say right up front, I actually like that. I think more shows should do that. Like Cypher, that's a really good idea. And in the future, I may utilize that. That's just, I'm sorry, that's a good thing. And it drives home the point that this is real. Wes J. Ryan, does that moment of silence come with thoughts and prayers the left hates so much? That gets mentioned a little later. And I've noticed I don't like that attack at all. Like when you're trying to, when you meet genuine compassion with vitriol, there's just something wrong with what's going on. Like with your general outlook, if you meet that kind of compassion with vitriol.
So we're going to talk about it. Okay. And you know what this is about. So I don't even have to say a trigger warning. If you need to get out of this, get out of it now, because we're about to get into some serious shit, especially with some of the things that people have lied about with the most recent one. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Another mass shooting happened this week, this time in Texas. Gun violence, gun control, the Second Amendment. Quote, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's the refrain that pretty much sums up the talking points of most of the right in the United States.
Now, that's an interesting one. Hang on. I will go another second.
And
I'm sorry. When his pause like that, like, yeah, I'll get it going another second. The thing you got to realize, though, is even in this instance in Texas, the only thing that stopped this shooter was another armed individual. There was a lot of cowards there. There sure shit was. But in the end, the adage still held true. It's an unfortunate reality that self-defense requires a proportionate amount of return force, because when somebody initiates force against you, you have to repel that in some way. Let's see. West J. Ryan, very simplistic, dumb analysis, yet still true. It's sometimes the simplest analysis can lead to truth. Left hates simplistic answers that are true, according to West J. Ryan. I've noticed that a lot. If it's a simplistic answer, but it's true, you're going to get some pushback, I've noticed. But we continue.
Of course, the evergreen thoughts and prayers.
There it is.
There's always a lot of thoughts and prayers for the people left behind after the mass shootings that have become so regular in this country that they barely make a blip on our radar anymore. The left bemoans every shooting and every death. Democratic lawmakers don't get money from gun lobbies, so they're quick with the accusations against their colleagues after every shooting. Lots of words, but no meaningful action. This week, an 18-year-old whose name we will not be reporting on the roundup, and nobody else should either.
Hear, hear.
Just like we stopped reporting the names of suspected serial killers.
And have you noticed you don't really hear about them much anymore? In the 90s, some of our best movies, The Silence of the Lambs, was all based on like crazy serial killers and shit, and made you believe that there was a serial killer under every pillow and under every bed. And now, not really so much anymore. The mass shooter thing kind of became the new serial killer, like he's talking about. And now that we're finally coming around to don't report the fuckhead's name, don't report them, like I think that's a positive development. Like, and that's one instance where just like, nah, we don't need to glorify, because that's what they're seeking, is some sort of rejection of the world and everyone around them, but also making the most noise on the way out. But Cypher continues.
Entered an elementary school classroom in Uvalde, Texas, before he was shot and killed by Border Patrol agents. Yes, Border Patrol, ICE. He murdered 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers. What he did... Oh, I'm sorry. The shooter had no criminal record and no history of mental illness. What he did have was weapons. He had 2 AR-style rifles that he bought at a local federal firearms license on May 17th and May 20th. According to the Texas Department of Public...
West J. Ryan, the framing is awful. We all know about them. Hardly blips. That's a very valid retort there. It's like, these are hardly blips. I mean, these are something we all know. Like, I mean, we can name off the big cities where this has all happened now. And some of the smaller like communities that you'd never hear about, they become infamous for all time after these things.
Like safety, he also purchased 375 rounds of ammunition on May 18th. In Texas, an individual between the ages of 18 and 21 can buy a long gun or rifle, such as an AR-15. Carrying a gun in Texas required a permit until September of 2021, when a state law freed Texans from the permit requirement, known as constitutional carry. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill.
I'll be honest, I don't think the constitutional carry thing would have really made a difference here. But to me, I think constitutional carry is something that I fully support. I have a feeling that Cypher here would not, but I think constitutional carry is sort of a constitutional and legal banality as far as I'm concerned. It's just something that just simply should be. It's not something that even should be a controversy, honestly. So I have a feeling that the two of us are going to look at that very differently. And well, we'll see how this continues. But yeah, constitutional carry, I don't think would have made a large difference one way or another, or any difference, honestly. He went through normal channels still in place with constitutional carry. Yeah, he went through all the, like, this is one of those where there just simply is evil in the world. And then that's one of the things that's the biggest difference between the left and the right that I've noticed is on the left, you have the belief that there is the perfectibility of human institutions. If we just get one more law, one more regulation, then we'll have the utopia. On the right, there's a general concession of the imperfectibility and imperfection fallen nature of humanity. We're all imperfect creatures, and so because of that, you really can't have any one institution with too much power.
Last summer, championed by gun rights advocates that allowed for permitless carry. The law was criticized at the time by Democrats, with Representative Veronica Escobar of El Paso predicting at the time that it would cause more violence and loss. Abbott said on Wednesday, after Uvalde shooting, that, quote, the ability of an 18-year-old to buy a long gun has been in place in the state for more than 60 years. Say that again. The ability to buy a long gun in the state of Texas has existed for more than 60 years.
Yeah, in a lot of states too. Heather, that's the part about it. That's the sad part about it. He didn't go to the black market. He went to the store. Well, again, that's one of those things where, yeah, he just had this evil intent in his heart. And that's one of those things where you have to be ready for that because, I mean, Heather, every day you go out with your kids, you're thinking, okay, what evil little fuck is around the corner? You kind of have to approach life like that if you want to keep you and yours safe. Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of it.
Of course, it's saying that it's not the law's fault, right?
Oh, yeah, and I remember what I was going to say about, well, yeah, a lot of states you've been able to purchase a gun from 18 on, long guns. Usually it was the 1960s when handgun regulation started to become really in vogue in the United States. I think it's the Brady campaign used to be the Coalition for Handgun Control or something like that in the 70s, and then it shifted, and that was the real big push post JFK or FK was to get some handgun control. And but yeah, you've been able to buy a long gun in most states since time immemorial. As long as there's been people with guns to sell, there's been guns for sale. Now, under the federal firearms law is what Abbott is talking. Excuse me. Under current federal firearms regulations is what Abbott is talking about. Wes J. Ryan, is Cypher a CNN journalist? This whole thing is framed in a way that sounds like he doesn't know very much about guns or law. Strangely enough, Cypher, I believe, is actually a military vet. I don't know what branch or what, but and he lives in Texas, but he really doesn't like some of the gun laws there. And we actually talked about gun buying, and he's considering getting a rifle. He's not sure about an AR, and so I was trying to trying to ease in the idea of him getting a scout rifle, bolt action in either 308 or 5.56. In Texas, 5.56 is probably plenty. And it doesn't have that it's a spooky AR, but it also has really common ammo, and it takes a lot less maintenance than an AR. So I was trying to sell him on that, but I'm actually going to get into that when I get into the forum criticism at the end of this video. So Cypher continues.
Doesn't have anything to do with the laws of guns in this country. But Abbott pushed aside any calls to strengthen gun laws, saying, quote, we as a government need to find a way to target that mental health challenge and do something about it. Shortly after the news of the shooting began circulating, Senator Ted Cruz released a statement that said in part, Heidi and I are uplifting our prayers to the entire Uvalde community during this devastating time, and we mourn the lives that were taken by this act of evil.
Now, when Ted Cruz said that, that we are lifting you in prayer. That's kind of a response to just the vitriol that thoughts and prayers gets now, which, like I said, I don't think that's good. I really don't think that's good. Now, Cypher is about to read some stuff here that's less than good. Let's call it that. He basically just finds the most vitriolic, lurid tweets that he can and reads them here, and I don't know.
It is an act of evil, but something has to be done about it. Now, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said, quote, "We can't stop bad people from doing bad things. We can potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators to respond quickly." That, in my opinion, Ken Paxton's opinion, is the best answer. Because of course it is. Because again, only a good guy a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun. You saw how well that worked out. Now, Democratic.
Well, in the end, as much as I hate to say, that's what happened in the end. Yeah, a lot of cowards stood outside. A lot of fucking folks who have no right to ever put a cowboy hat on ever again stood outside. But no, in the end, that's how it boiled down again. A good guy with a gun stopped the bad guy with a gun. Scared for our friends in Canada, no handguns anymore. I know. To our Canadian brothers and sisters, I extend my deepest condolences to each and every one of you. I'm so sorry that you have to go through this and you have to suffer through Trudeau. And I know none of you can even say that you oppose this, because if you do, your checking account will probably get shut down. So I'm so sorry. I extend my deepest condolences to our Canadian brothers and sisters. West J. Ryan was asked how many kids should die before second A. My answer is, if second A is changed, we potentially won't have kids to save. Well, my response to that is, and it's something to keep in mind kind of through the rest of this video, actually. Dr. Ron Paul made a very, very compelling argument years ago, and I'm going to repeat it partially here. We could eliminate all domestic violence in the country, and in the country if we wanted to, by simply installing a camera in every single room of every single house. Then guess what? Domestic violence rates would drop precipitously, considerably, almost to zero. But we all recognize that a far greater crime has been committed against the American people as a whole at that point. And just like me not wanting to have cameras in everyone's rooms, in everyone's house, doesn't make me pro domestic violence. In the same regard, me not wanting all guns confiscated and wanting people's rights stripped from them doesn't make me pro shooting in any way either. And so that's something that you always need to keep in mind, is the people that are always wanting to take your rights the most, the people that try to get you to praise them the most for doing it. So in that regard, that's something to always keep in mind with this. And so Cypher continues.
Representative Ruben Galeo of Arizona attacked Cruz on Twitter. Quote, "Fuck you, Ted Cruz. You care about a fetus, but you will let our children get slaughtered." Galeo posted on Twitter. "Just get your ass to Cancun. You're useless." Just to be clear, fuck you, Ted Cruz, you fucking baby killer.
Wow.
Guerrilla said in a second post. Candidate for governor's seat, Beto O'Rourke.
That was actually quite well timed, because yes, these people are assuming because they don't want mass confiscation, because they don't agree with them, they apparently want death. And that is a really unfortunate reality, is when one side assumes that they have a monopoly on morality or empathy in any issue. That's where some really bad shit goes down, because like Stalin did things for your own good. The fucking worst dictators in our history did things for your own good. Hitler did things for your own good. That's what the worst dictators do. They do it for your own good. And so that's, I forget what the quote is, but it's like, there's no tyranny more pernicious than one that they do so believing that it's for your own good, because a regular tyranny will rest and leave you alone, but one that's for your own good never fucking rests and is always trying to beat down upon you and never sleeps. And so that's what you always got to be worried about. It's like, and like even lefties say, we need to bring in gun control. It's for your own good. I forget who said it, but yeah, if the government says they want to take your guns, you definitely need your guns.
crashed a press conference that features Texas Republicans approaching the stage and accusing Abbott and others of doing nothing to prevent this kind of violence. And they haven't. He was shouted down fairly quickly and escorted out by law enforcement within minutes. O'Rourke said gun violence prevention could be accomplished. Quote, "If we had a governor who cared more about the people of Texas than he does his own political career or his fealty to the NRA."
I don't know about like he's trying to advance his political career at this point. I think Greg Abbott's well aware of the fact that his political career likely ends in Texas. I don't think he's got further aspirations beyond the state. If he was maybe 15 years younger, he'd be a presidential candidate, but no. Like, and I'm not saying like somebody his age couldn't be president. I'm just saying for him in particular, his window for when he would have made a good presidential candidate's kind of come and gone. So I think Abbott at this point, he's doing what he believes is in his principles correct. So I don't know. Trying to ascribe that kind of level of now, maybe I'm wrong. Cypher, you live in Texas. If you do a response to this, I'd love to know. Is Greg Abbott like planning to run for president, or is he going to try to run for Senate? Looks like the Senate seats are kind of packed and a little safe at the moment, but he would be a great, if somebody's got a controversy come up, he'd be a great last minute, second string candidate.
Work continued. And if you need any proof of that, check the schedule for the NRA's convention this Friday, right here in the state of Texas. 5 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history in this state on his watch. What does he do about it? He goes to the NRA convention to brag about how easy he made it to purchase guns in this state, to carry them publicly without a background check whatsoever. Words, not action.
I don't think he ended up going actually because there was too much of a security threat. And Greg Abbott is, I believe he's actually he's in a wheelchair. And so he's not going to be able to quickly and safely and efficiently extract himself in that kind of situation the way other people can. Hey, Bandit, Stacey Abrams has a chance in Texas. I thought she's from Georgia.
Second Amendment contains one word that seems to fall on deaf ears for the people who have championed unfettered access to guns. That word is regulated. The lack of federal regulation.
Okay. Oh no. Cypher. This is something that a lot of people on the left get wrong when they bring up, well, it says regulated right there in the Second Amendment. I know this is going to be hard to believe, but nomenclature has changed over 200 years. This is Cypher of CrowdSourcedPolitics. He's a guy, he's on Mask Off podcast with Tiberius. I occasionally run into him on Prime and Dylan Burns' show. That's where I first met him, actually. But regulated. Okay. It wasn't until shortly after the Civil War that the term regulated came to be known as being subject to government fiat. That is a fairly new usage of the word regulated. There's the more classic usage was like a regulator valve. At the time of our ratification of the Second Amendment, if you were somebody that had the exact same meal for breakfast, the exact same meal for lunch, the exact same meal for dinner every day, 3 different meals, and you had all your nutrition covered and you knew exactly what your intake was, you would be said to have a well-regulated diet. And that was what well-regulated meant at the time. Think of more like a regulator valve that like controls the flow of gas or liquid. So that's more what that nomenclature meant. So when you say a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So what it says there, but you wouldn't be regular. Maybe. So basically what that's saying is we need people that are well equipped with their arms to be necessary for the security of a free state. or a state of freedom, if you will. So the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And they had to put that in there in fairly strong language because they knew some asshat was going to come along and eventually try. So when you say regulated, don't hang your hat on that one, because linguistically, historically, and legally, it does not hold up at all. So just now, granted, you don't go too deep into that, but just for future reference.
Means that people can buy guns legally in a state with few regulations and carry them across state borders into a state with more regulations. This is seen often in New York and Chicago. The lack.
Now, I've often asked the question, why is it that these guns that everybody bemoans that get to Chicago, they don't seem to commit any or hardly any crime at all until they get to Chicago? Why is it that it's only there that these guns are used for so much violence? And it seems like there's a perverse market demand. There's a supply demand chain here of perverse proportions that seems to be getting served in some way. And I've said this before, and like, just, when I used to go to Chicago for business reasons years ago, and I had this discussion. It's like, it seems it's your fellow Chicagoans that want each other dead. It's really convenient to just blame the other guy over the hill, but why is it that your fellow Chicagoans want each other dead so badly? That's what I find very confusing in all this.
Of federal red flag laws and the lack of federal background checks, the utter lack of federal regulations that would curtail immediate access to firearms. Every time there's a mass shooting, there's lots of accusations and recriminations, but nothing changes. The stories hit the airwaves, the anger rises with the rhetoric, and then the stories fade away.
Lefties can pay for my training if it bothers them that much.
Out of memory.
Interesting idea.
The National Rifle Association has their 2022 national conference this week in Texas. Former President Trump will be there to speak. So will Abbott and Cruz and many Republican lawmakers. Houston's mayor said the conference has been on the books for 2 years, and it's a contractual obligation. The conference will proceed.
Oh, yeah.
As the NRA doesn't back down.
Nope.
There will no doubt be protests outside the venue.
As somebody that Arizona, good shit. As somebody that is a big supporter of the NRA, they don't back down, and I do like the fact that that's their reputation. Now they're going through some hard times at the moment, but they'll get through it. They've been around for a long, long time, and they've got donors whose pockets are real deep. I want Twitch poll Bandit 848 says, I want Twitch poll lefties to tell me how many guns do they think are too many for anyone to own. My bet is that it will be laughably low. Yeah, it's kind of like the American Dad thing where Stan gets taken hostage by lefty terrorists, and he's got to read these demands. Like, the demands are simple. There's a 1-year waiting period on getting a gun, and at the end of that year, you don't get a gun. But yeah, as somebody that does support the NRA, wash me in your judgment. I don't care. Like, I'm somebody that's, I'm glad that they're lobbying on my behalf so that I don't have to constantly. They're protecting Second Amendment rights, and God bless them for it, for everybody, even people who politically fucking hate them. They still protect their rights. So, an enumerated civil right. So, credit where it's due.
In fact, Bette Midler is encouraging her followers to come armed to an organization to protest the conference on May 26th. And it in a big thing of irony here. The NRA doesn't allow guns at its conference. Even if former President Trump was not speaking at the conference, guns would not be allowed by the group that pushes for guns to be allowed everywhere else.
And you kind of just Explained why.
Because they know it's a fucking security risk.
Because some lefty will come and try and make a
The
scene.
actress made remarks while responding to a tweet suggesting, quote, people should show up and protest at this conference. Millers tweeted Wednesday at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas this weekend, come armed. Even without Ms. Medler's encouragement, Texas gun laws practically guarantee there will be as many firearms as among the protesters. You know where they won't be any firearms? Inside the venue. Because President Trump is going to be there. Secret Service, fine, understandable. But the NRA has always, or maybe not always, but for a long time, prevented guns from being at its conference. Which is why the only time you see a gun, when a speaker is speaking and holding it up for the cameras. So what can be done about
it? They also have a lot of guns at the NRA expos where they show the latest models that are coming out for each company. So tis what it is. Bandit goes, I don't have the same opinion of the NRA. I saw them firsthand in the VA State House. It was pitiful. You know, I'll be honest. Yes, we can all point to times when the NRA was too soft. If you're an American gun owner, it's like, oh fuck, really? You can see, but at the same time, they're also the only reason we don't have all the stuff that this guy wants implemented tomorrow in place. They're the reason we don't have, like, yet anyways, federal red flag laws. There's some scratchings that might happen, which I don't like that at all. Now it's a bipartisan committee, which is a very nice way of saying it's never going to happen. I mean, you got to realize whenever a president or a party in power says we're going to do a bipartisan committee, it's a nice way of saying nothing's going to happen. We'll see, but yeah, like universal background checks and registry, so the government knows where all the guns are, and then all they have to do is just reclassify a gun, and then they just one by one start slimming down the list of things that you can legally have, just like they do in California. So to me, it's, yeah, for all the NRA's faults, it's one of those, if you do the weights, I still consider them something that needs to be maintained. Bandit, true, getting rid of LaPierre would do a lot of help. That one is an internal NRA issue, because LaPierre, god damn it, that dude's had a thankless job for fucking 2.5 decades. Hey, go out there and defend our organization when everybody's right at the worst moments, right after these shootings. Go out, and LaPierre goes out there and he does. So it's a pretty thankless job, but I do think the time may come, because he's getting old, if for no other reason. That I'm wondering who would be the new head of it, though, because whether you love him or hate it, LaPierre moves the legislation, he gets the donation dollars, he's got the connections, he knows the people, and so that's why he's where he's at. And so it's one of those, like, literally he's in that position of you either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain, and he's lived a long time. So Cypher continues
about this. I don't know. I honestly don't know what can be done. I know some things that can work on this issue that have long-standing majority of support among the American people. Universal background checks. That means if you buy it from your fucking brother, you get a background check.
Boo. It's none of your fucking business if two brothers sell a gun between each other. I'm sorry, but it just ain't. It's none of your fucking business. It's like Fred Thompson said when he ran for president in 2012. It's nobody's business but my own. If I own guns, how many, what kind, or even where they are. And it's true. It's not like, Cypher, I'm sorry. If just down the street here, just down the gravel road, actually, Billy and Bobby, they're brothers. One wants to sell a gun or even just trade them. That's between them. Ain't nobody else's business. And it's private property that's privately held. So to me, Sound more like Billy and Bobby. Yeah, they're just trading, like, because that happens a lot actually around here. Is people will trade guns. It's like, yeah, I'll trade you this 1911 for that Glock. Now depending on the Glock and the 1911, but like you hear that a lot around here. Is people just trade guns. Nobody's going to the fucking courthouse for that shit. Okay, they're just not. And even if you say like you implement that law tomorrow, that really only applies to any gun manufactured after the date of law's implementation on the date X. There's still the almost 400 million guns that can just be traded freely around. And like, actually behind me in the shot there, right there, actually, is a Schmidt-Rubin 1911 rifle that was manufactured in the year 1918. So it's a 104-year-old rifle, and it still shoots like a fucking pencil. Just straight line, big old 30 caliber pill, 7.5 by 5.5 Swiss. Guns are incredibly durable and long-lasting items. So even if you make the punishments as draconian as possible, immediate execution for ownership of a firearm, make it that draconian, it's still going to take you 150 years to purge firearms from American life because people buy them for a reason. It's not just vanity. They do serve utility. It's a very, very good defensive tool, and it's a great critter getter, especially when you're out in places like Nebraska here. We got some critters out here, and you need something to be a getter.
Why? People can't be trusted. Simple as that.
Interesting. Well, that's very jaded.
People can say, well, we have background.
Like, people can't be trusted. Like, well, then apparently, like, do you like the cameras? Like, I'm not being facetious. I'm not being an asshole here. Like, do you like the cameras in every room to get rid of domestic violence here because people can't be trusted? Is everybody to wear like fucking bubble wrap suits because people can't be trusted? Are we gonna start to fucking not sell butter knives because people can't be trusted? How far are you willing to go with this?
Background checks, and if you sell your gun to a person that's not allowed to have them, then you're breaking the law. No, that's not how it works. The way it works, legally speaking, is all you have to do is say, well, judge, I didn't know this person wasn't allowed to have a gun. I did my due diligence. I checked their ID. They were saying who they say they were. I have no obligation to run a background check on this person.
Bandit goes, why? Government showed it was incompetent and ineffective. Why should they be given more power? Very compelling argument.
So I used my best judgment and sold him the weapon. If that weapon is then used in the commission of crime, no one is held at fault. No one else but the killer is held at fault, despite the fact that due diligence was not actually practiced.
I mean, if I sell someone my sword and they go hack somebody up, I'm not liable because they used a sword. If I sell somebody a hammer and they go all Hell's Angels on somebody, I'm not liable because they bought my hammer. Like, the only reason why that argument would make sense to anyone is because guns scary. So I'm sorry, like, that's just bad argument.
Have laws that prevent certain individuals from obtaining firearms and weapons for a reason. Even Republicans know that mentally ill people that are troubled, people that beat their wives and girlfriends and that were former criminals shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. But by God, if you try to make me wait 2 days to have a weapon when I'm a law-abiding citizen, and fuck you, buddy, you're preventing me from carrying out my constitutional right.
Right delayed is a right denied. And also, it's kind of a very odd form of collective punishment where, because other people might be bad, I need to be treated as a bad person. Like, yeah, that's a very odd, like, $5 says he's never held a firearm. I don't know. I think he's like, we've been talking about him buying a gun. He's not sure about buying an AR, so I'm trying to sell him on a scout rifle, because a scout rifle is just a fun bolt action rifle that if you're a right hander and you get the Mossberg, it takes AR magazines anyways for 5.56. It's just a fucking fun rifle. I'm a lefty, so I got the Ruger gun sight scout 5.56. That's kind of my critter getter, and it's nice gun. Almost no maintenance. You don't need like that thing you can just beat up and it takes a lick and keeps on ticking. Give him a 2-day waiting period on posting a video. You know, I like, yeah, like, is that what we're gonna do with freedom of speech? Is you need a 2-day cooldown period before you can post a video. I like that one, Bandit. Bandit, I am stealing that one. That is brilliant. I'm sorry, I am stealing that one. That is fucking gold. All right, and he continues.
That is the narrative that they have. That is what they always say. Every single time.
What did he say?
That is the narrative. Former criminals shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. But by God, if you try to make me wait 2 days to have a weapon when I'm a law-abiding citizen, then fuck you, buddy. You're preventing me from carrying out my constitutional right. That is the narrative that they have. That is what they always say.
Well, there is a validity to it. I mean, you might disagree, but there is a validity to it.
Make no mistake about it. Republican lawmakers, some Democrat lawmakers are beholden to their constituents. And their constituents, the loudest ones that are pro-gun, not necessarily the NRA.
Absolutely.
It's Gun Owners of America.
Hear, hear.
You haven't heard about that until this program right now? I suggest you look it up.
Yes,
30,000 member organization, the most vocal and rabid pro-Second Amendment group in the United States.
I got to pause there because, yes, he's absolutely correct. Do check out the Gun Owners of America, another great organization. There was a few times when the NRA was going to get a little wobbly, and the Gun Owners of America reminded them of their principles. Let's call it that. Reminded them of their principles. But yeah, I think that is like, so great shout out. Bandit. Hot take. I think that have paid their debt to society should have all rights restored. If they can't be trusted with those rights, should they be back on the streets? Excellent point. I really do think once you have served your time and term, the state should have no further business with you. And I think all civil rights should be fully restored. And if you can't be trusted, then you should probably be locked up. If you're a danger to yourself and others, like that seems self-evident. So I really like that idea, because let's be frank, some like paperwork, white collar, like insider trading, or like somebody had a little bit too much weed on them or some shit like that. That's not something that has anything to do with violence. Okay. The domestic violence thing, I think that's just dandy right where it is. I think right where those laws are, I think that's just, I got no problem there.
They're the ones that pushed for these conferences to continue back in the 90s after Columbine. That's how long this has been going on. There hasn't,
Evil's
majority of my life, we've been dealing with school shootings because we do not want.
Yeah, I don't know how old you are, Cypher. You're probably a few years younger than me, but I was in, God, I want to say like 5th or 6th grade, somewhere around there when Columbine hit. That was a big, like, I remember everything kind of shifted after that, because like our country's been awash in firearms and ammunition, readily available firearms and ammunition, but these mass shootings have become a fairly recent phenomenon, which, like, I remember, I can't even remember who said it, but the fact that this has been the way it is doesn't really point to some sort of gun problem, but points to some form or figure of societal decay. Because yes, I mean, since our nation's founding, we've been awash in readily available firearms and ammunition, and we've had repeating firearms for hundreds of years now. Jefferson's favorite rifle, I think it was called the Giordano rifle. It was a 22 shot repeating 41 caliber ball rifle that he actually loaned to Lewis and Clark. And they said the only reason they survived is because they had these repeating high capacity rifles. Look at the calendar. Columbine happened during the 94. Yeah, okay. I was a little older than like 6th grade then. I'm trying to think. Was I a teenager? I can't remember. But yeah, I'll have to go back and don't make me do math. Come on. But but anywho, that was I do remember that was a big shift in the culture, like after Columbine. And like I said, like the idea that these are blips on the radar, like Chicken said earlier, just is not true. I mean, just the saying of that name, and we already know. So these are clearly not blips on the radar.
Want to do anything in this country, because that's what it boils down to. Politically, we don't have the fucking will to do anything. Hamstrung by politicians and lobby groups from doing even the most basic of things, like universal background checks, to stop the proliferation of guns to people that shouldn't have them, to people that the vast majority of the United States agree.
You know, you're not gonna like this. You're not gonna like this, Cypher. You're gonna disagree with this entirely, but it's good to understand perspectives. It's good to understand what the other side's thinking, and this is one that I think will be helpful for you. Like the right views universal background checks is just step one to registration, and registration is just prerequisite to confiscation. And we've even seen it in the United States and states like California, where they would do universal registration for certain. I think they have universal registration now in their state, and they would simply reclassify guns. Like I think even an SKS is now illegal to have in California, and it used to be totally fine, totally legal, and then they just redefined it as a now illegal weapon and turn them in. We already know where they are, so fuck off. And so universal background check is just the first step to that. And so to me, it's like, nope. There's many private citizens in this world that have much that they don't want you to know and much that they feel that they should keep concealed. And that is their right. So to me, it's I can understand why. I mean, from somebody on the left, I can understand why they would want that kind of complete information, but somebody on the right is like, yeah, the fact that you want that information so bad is kind of actually suspect. Like, kind of makes us think, okay, there might be ulterior motive here.
Not be carrying a weapon. We can't even get red flag laws in the United States.
Good.
Because that's a violation of due process. No,
this is a little bit of a callback to our little side chat on Discord, isn't it? I kind of feel like it is, because he's saying this is, well, first of all, okay, sorry. I want to do this. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Be carrying a weapon. We can't even get red flag laws in the United States because that's a violation of due process. No, it's not.
Yeah, they are.
It is not a violation of due process.
Yes, it is.
You just don't like it.
Because it's a violation of due process. Yeah, red flag laws, depending on the judge you're in front of, a mere accusation is all they need to initiate that. So that is, because yeah, I got kinfolk that lives out in California. And yeah, the red flag laws are robust. Let's put it that way. So yeah, it's 8th grade by math. Thank you. All right, I thought it was like 6th grade, but that was off a little bit. So, but yeah, when that one hit, it was fucking shattering. It changed a lot, but yes, the red flag laws, even if you think that it has enough due process, which it doesn't, it fucking doesn't. I mean, my God, it also violates the idea of innocent until proven guilty, because now, like, even when a grand jury convenes, indicts, and even has an arrest, you are still innocent until proven guilty. All civil rights have not been stripped. You may be arrested and processed, but then there is bond and bail hearing and all that such. So even then, you're innocent until proven guilty, and your innocence is still presumed. When a red flag law is initiated, you now have to prove, with the burden of proof being on you, that your thoughts are now up to state standards and regulations. That is a truly horrifying Orwellian, Kafka-esque reality that I hope no one ever has to find themselves falling under. Bandit goes, no knock, a bench warrant that you are oblivious to. Yeah, those need to go too. I think we can all kind of agree those are just a blatant violation of just about any kind of right you can imagine. So red flag laws, not only does it violate the very idea of due process, because it strips your rights before you've been found guilty of anything, or despite being found guilty of anything, it also violates our notion of innocent until proven guilty in such a way that I could scarce imagine a more damaging legislation to such a notion. And any one piece of legislation that can destroy so many rights and so many legal norms in one fell swoop should probably be given a little more consideration than red flag laws, guns bad, scary, because that's what it usually comes off as when people advocate for them.
The way a red flag works is that a person goes to a judge and be like, Your Honor, I have reason to believe that so-and-so is going to hurt themselves or somebody else, whatever the case may be. Here's the evidence I have. Can we temporarily take their weapon away from them? Basically a grand jury.
Basically a grand jury, huh? Basically a grand jury. Oh, wow. That assumes you are guilty until proven innocent. Dear Lord. Bandit, if they red flag you but haven't come by yet, you become a felon if you try to buy a firearm during the... Yeah, it's a lot of bullshit. And really what red flag laws are is, as far as I'm concerned, really what it is just another measure that folks who don't really like guns want to put in place to kind of punish gun owners for owning guns. That's what I like. When you boil it down, it's just like, well, you gun owners, we don't like you, so how can we punish you for owning guns? And that's kind of how it comes across, whether they know it or not. Exactly. Yes.
You can say that the process doesn't have enough due process. I'm okay with that.
So that's you kind of conceding that, yeah, it's not due process. You just don't really want to admit that, because that would be conceding an argument to the king of extreme. I know it can be painful, but don't worry, Cypher. I like you. You're a cool cat, and you make some good points here later that we get to. So don't worry about that. But this one, I'm sorry. Red flag laws are just a perversion of everything we consider justice.
I understand that argument, but to be against it in its entirety, to be against the idea itself, just means you put up your ability to have a gun, and you put up your fear of having your gun taken away from you above the protection and life of other people.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do, though? Aren't you supposed to value the protection of your own life, of you and yours, over the protection of other people? That's kind of what you're supposed to do. And I think it would be kind of a bizarre system of thought for anybody that would put the protection of other people over the protection of themselves and their own. So, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do as a biological creature. Bandit, in my opinion, I'm not willing to consider the issue until the NFA and the Hughes Amendment are repealed. Hear, 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 hear. But that's a different issue entirely. Now, I'm curious, like, how far do you think that's going to get with like Cypher here. Out of like assuming like he's Senator Cypher and I'm Senator K.O.E. and we're in the Senate. Yeah, that's gonna be a bitch, ain't it?
Because you're paranoid that the government, big bad government, big brother, is gonna come and confiscate your fucking gun.
Because they do kind of a lot. And oh damn it, I'm sorry, but I did pause that at just the right moment. That's pretty funny. Like this is a rather heavy-handed example, but at Wounded Knee, they confiscated everyone's guns before the massacre. Yeah. So when the government wants to take your gun, it's kind of the best way to know you kind of need to keep your gun. Cool, excited. I can't stand the smug condescension. Understandable. Like I said, when I get to the end of this, I'm going to critique the forum, but I'm critiquing the substance now. But yeah, like I said, it's stick around for that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Cool Excite, and be sure to like, share, subscribe to right here, K.O.E Nation. Give us a subscribe. That'd be so fucking awesome. You would be the coolest cat of all time and the coolest Excite that ever excited. Bandit, tell him that the NFA gives a pathway to purchase machine guns. He'll come around to repealing it. Well, I'm going to bring up the NFA a little later. Because he was saying like, what about the 2-day waiting periods and stuff? It's like, well, I'll get into that later.
Despite all the evidence to the contrary, you are conspiratorial minded and paranoid, and you need to be called out about it. If you are one of those people watching this program, feel free to contact me later. We can have a debate about it. But that is my thoughts and opinions on this.
I was about to say, like, I was thinking it is a very heavy-handed example, but yeah, I mean, they confiscated the guns right before Wounded Knee. I mean, like, yeah, it's something that governments kind of like to do before they're going to do bad shit to you. Is confiscate the guns. So maybe don't hand them over. That's like been in since time in memoriam.
As of right now, this anger that you're hearing in my voice is genuine. I can't stomach this shit.
How you believe
I
this?
am trying to keep as calm as I can. But 14 people this past week died again. And the most people can say that we're going to do about it is make kids live in fear again. Get them security. The likely reason why the ICE or Border Patrol agents that ended up being the SWAT team that eventually took down the gunman could not get into that room is because of the security. It's likely don't have 100% proof of this. Okay. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Is likely because they already had reinforced doors. SWAT teams are trained to breach doorways. And if their miniature batter ram could not break that door down, then that is more than likely a reinforced door to prevent slaughter from happening. They had to be let.
Now, I can kind of confirm when I was in school, we had like fucking Hogwarts goddamn door. Like they were fucking thick. Like, so, I mean, I understand what they're talking about. Bandit, ironic that the English-speaking nations that had stricter lockdowns are also the nations that gave up their firearms. Yeah, I've brought that. Like, I remember I was actually on Mask Off, and Tiberius and Osiris like were just like, well, that's an opinion. And I said, no, I'm convinced that the only reason we didn't have COVID internment camps like they had in Australia is because of how many people own guns here. I'm convinced. So that's just something to keep in mind. Shotgun would have handled that door. There's maybe now, like I said, Bandit, there's a lot of police in Texas that like were showing up that day wearing cowboy hats. They should probably just take them off from now on. They had a chance to cowboy up and they didn't take it. So, nah.
In by a staff member. How crazy is that?
That's kind of crazy.
We have kids going to school with bulletproof backpacks to try and use them as shields against guns that shouldn't ever be in the vicinity of a fucking school.
Let's see. Bandit goes, you hear the story about the other CBP officer that was getting his hair cut, didn't have a service weapon, and the barber gave him his shotgun and saved the kids. Yeah. So it took another armed individual to show up to interfere with this. So even though there was a lot of cowards, it still took one good guy with a gun. A lot of cowards that day, though. My goodness. They were waiting for backup. You were waiting for your fucking pension to kick in.
And we can't get background checks on everybody. We can't require training. We can't require people to take insurance to at least in the instant.
Oh, yeah. That's all we need to make sure that rights are fucking maintained. Get the insurance companies involved. You know damn well what you're trying to do there. You're trying to get the fucking insurance companies to do with gun rights in the home the same thing that fucking the TOS has done to conservative thought in the public square. Just one by one, just knock them off one at a time. That's what you really want to do with that. Don't fucking lie. That, and there even was there was an attempt at an insurance policy, the NRA Carry Guard, and the Southern District of New York had a fucking conniption fit, and the NRA's been having some trouble ever since. But don't worry, the NRA's got a much longer game. The lady who's running the Southern District of New York, she's gonna be getting into her political aspirations soon. She'll even run on I was able to beat back the NRA, but the NRA, like you just can't stop them. They keep coming. Their donors got too deep of pockets.
Of a national tragedy, should it happen, the families wouldn't have to cover their own medical and funeral expenses. This should not be acceptable to anybody, but it is.
Yeah, they tried to make the Carry Guard work with the NRA, but yeah, like I said, that got too complicated too quick, and then it got political. Bandit murder insurance is what they called it by the gun grabbers. Yeah, so there was an attempt at it, Cypher, but the left rejected it wholesale. So that the whole idea of getting the insurance companies involved is just gone now.
And that is infuriating. I don't know what else there is to say about this. There are certain things that we could do as a country that would help the situation at least a little bit. One of those things, maybe raising the age to buy a fucking gun. Can we entertain that? Or shall not be infringed, stop us from doing that?
Seems like as good a reason as any. I mean, it's right there. And let's be honest, like, I'm sorry, we have the oldest children in the world in this country. Okay? Like, are you an adult when you're 18 or are you not? Like, I didn't even really support the cigarette thing going up, and back in the 70s and 80s, I think is until Reagan, you could buy alcohol at 18 years old in some states. Gun control is dead. They just don't know it yet. Well, the cat's out of the barn at this point. You can't put that genie back in the bottle.
I can't, man. I can't with this. It's so nothing.
I can't.
The likelihood of anything being done is very small. Another school shooting and nothing can happen. We got results in Parkland, a Republican state, because kids.
Oh, this one's going to change some shit. Like if you think no change is going to come from this one, you're going to see some big changes in the way that police precincts are run, because after this, the police lost a lot of their rightward cover. Like a lot of folks on the right is like, motherfucker, we fucking stood up for you and fucking all this shit, thin blue line flags and all that shit. And then you just fucking stand there for an hour and then go get your kids and then tackle parents trying to get theirs. I mean, could you just imagine being a parent and there's gunfire going off in your school and the cops just stand there? You try to go in and they tackle you. Like, I'm sorry, if you make the right choose between parents and police, guess which one they're going to choose every time?
Children. People that weren't even old enough to vote. we're able to make change happen. And even that change,
didn't they just increase
as
the
good of a
price?
victory as it was, is trying to be chipped away at as we speak. And there was another school shooting. Republicans across the country have made it easier to have a gun because they are afraid of this happening without realizing that part of this happening is because of the laws that they passed. We can't even have a waiting period of 2 days of buying a gun. We have national background checks that in some states overrule the federal government and say that you have to sell that gun if they can't return a background check within 3 days. It's called a default sale.
Now, there's a reason they do that, and it's because there's a worse alternative. And what if you get a certain head of the firearms division in the FBI or the ATF that wants to slow walk every gun purchase? So it takes 6 rather than 2 days, 3 days, 6 days, 8 days, 40 days, 6 months, 10 months. Like, do you see how quickly that becomes a problem? And so this law incentivizes them to hurry up, get it back, and don't slow walk it like they do with any NFA item. If you try to buy a suppressor or a short-barreled rifle or any kind of NFA item, or even machine guns, which you can all get through the NFA, you will send in your check, and the check will clear almost immediately. And then it'll take another 6, 8, 10 months. And some people wait for years to hear back. Apply the suppressor wait list to the average. Yep. Bandit and I were like, yes. I mean, that's exactly what would happen if the states didn't have these kind of laws. Is it would take now Cypher for somebody like you. I almost suspect you would for you. What you call a bug might be the main feature. So now you see why the NRA has studiously passed these laws in certain states to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't hold sway.
How messed up is that? You can't tell me that's an infringement on a right.
Yeah, I can.
And if you tell me it's an infringement on a right, you can't tell me it's an overly burdensome one at that.
A right delayed is a right denied.
And be taken seriously.
I'm
not going to stand for it.
Well,
and there's more.
It is what it is.
There's more fuckery afoot with this. And part of that fuckery.
All right. I'm being asked. So who's the guy in the frame? Okay. This guy is Cypher. We've been having some back and forths in some Discord chats, and he put this video up, and we said, I might do a reaction to that. Is that all right? And he said, okay. And he might do a reaction to this, which then it's like, ooh, reaction to the reaction inception. But yeah, you can find him at CrowdSourcedPolitics on YouTube. He's considerably more lefty than I am. We run into each other on like Prime Kai's panel, on Dylan's panel some time ago, and on Tiberius D on the Mask Off podcast.
Because it can't be the gun that does this. No. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. True. Guns make it easier to kill people.
Bullets kill people.
The proliferation of guns
just
increases the likelihood of people
really,
dying.
Really fast.
These are facts. Facts don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your ideology.
Going Ben Shapiro on us.
They are. They exist without your acknowledgement of them or not.
Facts are stubborn.
And they want to scapegoat people with mental health issues. And they not.
Yeah, I don't really hang my hat exclusively on the mental health thing. It's just don't spend your mind and your time staring too much into the mind of madness. Otherwise, you will go mad. Because, I mean, do we blame the author of The Catcher in the Rye for the death of John Lennon? I mean, like, at one point, you have to realize that there are evil people with evil intent that are intent on doing evil. And at that point, you come to a very different conclusion about the world. But yeah, like when you think that there's some sort of psychiatric fix to all of them, you look at the world differently. Then there's folks like me that's like, there's within each of us is the capacity to be an angel or a demon. Within every one of us. Within you, within me, within anyone is the capacity to be both an angel and a demon. And to recognize that nature in all humanity is a reason why one would buttress their personal fortress before they step out into the world.
They want to scapegoat people with mental health issues, right-wing extremists, evil pieces of shit. Yes, what I am talking about, the people that I'm talking about right now, that I'm about to talk about right now.
Okay, I'm glad he clarified that. The people he's about to talk about. He's actually going to clarify a conspiracy theory that's been kind of running around in right-leaning circles. And so for here a little bit, I'm going to give Cypher of CrowdSourcedPolitics the floor. I'm not going to interfere or interrupt much at all, unless, of course, we have some great comments from our listeners, or he starts talking about something else other than this one thing. That's the thing. Bandit says that's the thing Wall Street got wrong. Man stares into the abyss, and that is what keeps him out of the abyss. Oh, no, 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 no. You stare into the abyss too long, and the abyss will stare back at you. So, yeah, if you try to stare into the mind of madness, it will just make you mad. But yeah, so for a little bit here, I'm going to give Cypher the floor here while he clarifies a conspiracy theory that's been going around, because it's one of the reasons I wait to give analysis, because I want to be not first but right here at the K.O.E Nation. And so Cypher, I'm going to give him the floor for a few minutes here, or about a minute or
evil.
two.
I know in this program that we say we do not want to increase the vitriol that happens in the country, but you have to call this out when it is what it is. And this is objectively evil. They are trying to blame this on a trans person. Why? Because, quote unquote, it's good optics to them. If you spent any time whatsoever on Twitter in right-wing spaces,
Just curious who they are.
100% have seen this story. This should not be anything new to you. But not everybody is able to go through the muck and deal with this shit as much as we are. And they don't know about this. Or if they do, they're just finding out about it either on this program or prior to me talking about this. And it has to be said, because this is objectively evil. It is abhorrent. The far right is falsely blaming a trans woman for the Texas school shooting. This report came out of Vice News, but we saw it on this program. We saw it on right-wing blogs, things that they come out of the 90s with a ton of ads, a ton of scams on them that people go to get their news from, get their lies from, to get their confirmation bias from. Posted all across Twitter. Images stolen from another trans woman's
I just
Twitter.
wanted to say real quick that yes, Bandit, like the trans thing was BS, and it's been called out by both sides. Yeah, like when I saw the first pictures, like they look vaguely similar, but you know, I've been told I look a lot like Jack Black, so I mean that's not proof of anything.
Or Facebook, and posted as if this is the person that did the killing. Why? Why was it done? Because it helps their narrative. Propaganda abounds, and we are starting to live in fucking hell world. I am not a doomer. This is infuriating, and it makes me question my faith in humanity. So we're going to pull it up on the screen really quick for some of this stuff. So this is the article from Vice News. Vice News does some decent investigative journalism still. We're going to use them as an example here. Okay. So what we have here, Paul Gosar. If there's something evil being said, something abhorrent, something racist, something sexist, something transphobic, you bet your ass fucking Paul Gosar is going to talk about it. A transsexual leftist illegal alien made Salvato Lomos. It's apparently your kind of trash. Fuck you, you evil piece of shit. Because that is objectively evil. Stand back and stand by. Of course. Racist fucking statement. A Proud Boy fuckwit found a picture on Reddit that does not have anything to do with this person whatsoever. Let's go over to the tweets. So, I'm just going to read these out. Right-wingers, including Dr. Paul Gosar, he should lose his fucking doctorate. have been spreading misinformation that the shooter in Texas was a trans woman, using random photos they pulled from Reddit. The person in the photos is currently posting on Reddit in apparent horror that her photos are being used this way. Don't want to spread her image even further in connection with this bullshit. But if you see a photo of a person in red long sleeve Coca-Cola shirt and black miniskirt, that is falsely identified Reddit poster in the screenshots that they're talking about. How can anybody, I don't care if you're left wing or right wing, be supportive of this bullshit? You're putting an innocent person's life at danger. For what? To say that trans people are mentally ill? Are you fucking kidding me? You're mentally ill. No. That is, they're not mentally ill. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not driven by delusions that they can't help. They are 100% in control of their own mind right now. And to say that this is mental illness, what I just did was wrong. And I apologize for that. So
I just wanted to stop real quick because Bandit comes out with, it's irrelevant too. There's no pattern of trans people being spree shooters, which is very true. I mean, it's been kind of known for some time that generally transgendered people are, I mean, like, they might, like, in a debate be very, like, difficult to debate with, and they might be very quick on their feet and, like, have a fast tongue, but, like, generally in terms of, like, physical aggression, it's generally, like, I always thought passive was part of the general psychological profile. Like, they're not gonna, like, fucking fisticuff with you, like, and like that kind of shit. So you do raise an excellent point there. Girly Bear, for the younger mass shooters, in almost every case, they have said, quote, out loud, either online or in person, that they were planning to were going to do a mass shooting. It's kind of like a meme that's kind of being passed around the right now, where it says, known by the FBI, known by the FBI, known by the FBI, known by the FBI, was known by the, like, and so that's sort of the meme being passed around at the moment.
we got a question from the chat. Hold on, sorry, I'm having mess ups on my multi-screen here.
It's not multi-screen mess ups.
From Bisky. So
Bisky whiskey.
Not add. Where's the oh, I don't have the highlights on. There we go. So Bisky __ is that 3? Yeah, 2 underscores. I have no idea who Paul Gosar is. Paul Gosar is a Republican congressman. Don't recall what state he's from, but made a Mimi Attack on Titan
I
thing.
think he's from Arizona,
where he was one of the characters of Attack on Titan killing Titans, and AOC was a Titan. That's the kind of person he is. Racist. Speaks at American First conferences with his buddy Nick Fuentes. Continuing on with these tweets, there's also a photo going around of a person with bangs drinking out of a green glass bottle. The person in the photo has since tweeted that the photo is of them and not of the shooter, who was killed. People reportedly, 4chaners, have apparently just been grabbing random photos of trans women they think look remotely like the photo of the shooter. They've apparently been able to find, or think they found, who knows, and using them to claim the shooter was trans. And I saw this in my Facebook group circles, because yes, I'm old. I still use Facebook. Shoot me. It's how I keep up with the news. It's how I am able to track down right-wing narratives without having to go to 4chan to see how it's entered the ether.
I'll be honest, I got a Facebook account just so I could FaceTime with my daughter. And then it's like one of those, like, I don't really want a lot of Facebook friends or anything. And then it's literally like the South Park episode. Now it's like, oh fuck, there's hundreds of fucking people on it. Like, yeah, it's like, it's the funniest fucking thing. Like, I didn't want one. It was just so I could FaceTime with my daughter. And now yeah, there's actually, I don't know who said it, but any sufficiently unmoderated space on the internet will eventually become right wing. Like, that says something about human nature, kind of does. Which also kind of shows that, leftist narrative really requires a lot of curation. But yeah, so Facebook, you do kind of get more right wing, and it's just kind of like memes, because memes are a very quick and efficient way of communicating, and it's a form of creativity that's individualistic. So it's just perfect for the right. And it's one of the reasons why the left has proven themselves not be very good at it, because the art that they're really good at is more collaborative based, like music, theater, that kind of stuff. That requires collaboration more. Bandit, poor choice of words during a discussion about firearms. It's kind of like, hey, let me shoot you a text. Like, yeah, sometimes you got to watch what you're saying.
Enter the ether that is the basic Republican zeitgeist, basic conservative zeitgeist, without having to delve deep into the muck for my own sanity. Now, Paul Gosar has since deleted his tweet, right? But is he making an apology? No, because it fucking helps his narrative. That's what we're seeing here. I don't know why anybody wants to give these people the benefit of the doubt. It is infuriating. It is evil. And people that want to give everybody, let me make sure I say this correctly. There are some arguments that should not be entertained.
Oh God! Like, I just don't like that. Bandit goes, memes of the 21st century political cartoons. Very, very true. And what makes them fascinating is they're so efficient at quickly communicating a lot of information, especially to people who are that are in on the joke. Like, if you're in on the joke of a meme, holy shit, it can communicate paragraphs of information. So that's what I think memes are so fascinating. But when he says certain perspectives shouldn't be considered, I've always thought, I can't think of any society that's ever done better when they think this one perspective, this group of people must remain unheard. Like, I believe very strongly in the idea that sunlight is the best disinfectant. So if you've got some idea that you disagree with, it's always worthwhile to establish first principles. Come to think of it, how can I prove the earth is round? How can I prove the theory of evolution? Like, these are things that, yes, it's always valuable to be able to establish first principles. So to me, the idea that certain ideas shouldn't be heard, to me, that's also a confession that you're not as confident in your ideas as you'd like to think you are, and you need to run to the intellectual hall monitors. And to me, when you engage with people who think differently, you make yourself smarter. When you refuse to engage with people who think differently from you, you actually make yourself dumber by doing it. So to me, I vociferously disagree, good sir.
People that are outright lying and acting in bad faith are not actors that you should deal with kid gloves.
Like,
they should not be able to air their grievances without pushback at the very least.
Well, if you're going to give pushback, that's no problem. But it's the classic idea of English liberty, where it's not just the right of the person who speaks to have a right to speak. It's also the right of the audience to listen and to hear and to be exposed. And every time you silence somebody, you make yourself a prisoner of your own action, and you made a rod for your own back, because if they can be fucking silenced, what stops you from being silenced?
And if they continue to go on, they should be rightly ridiculed and making an example of.
Oh,
feel free to debate some of these people.
If you got good humor, fucking
don't let their misinformation, their propaganda, their evil acts go unchallenged. Don't let them fester. Don't let them propagate. The best way to tackle these things is to, if you see it, to call it out. And if they continue to be a propagandist fuckwit, ban them from your community, because they're not there to be a good faith actor. They're not there to have their mind changed or to learn information. They're there as a political actor with an agenda, and that agenda is abhorrent. It is evil. It is going to lead to bad outcomes, and they must be stopped. This is partly why I am no longer a free speech absolutist. I don't think the government should be the one that comes in and tells us what we can and can't say. Private company, sure. Society in general, absolutely.
I'm gonna remember you said that when the right wingers take over the tech companies.
But being blasted for being wrong, abhorrent, evil, those things have better effect. And if you don't speak up, I'm not going to say that you're complicit. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that
There's a
person who
reason
doesn't
Jon
speak up is
Stewart was
complicit.
so effective.
I believe that they're cowardly. Don't be a coward. Call them out. Give them enough rope, so to speak.
So to speak.
Because this is on Twitch, I'm not going to say it. You know the idiom. And let them finish the job. And then pounce like a tiger and rip them to shreds. And if you can't do that, call someone else that can. Because by not pushing back on it, you help normalize it. Which is why we're covering this on this program, on the news roundup this week. And that is what I have to say about the latest shooting.
So, folks, that was Crowdsourced Politics on the latest shooting. So I'm going to be honest with you. There was a lot of analysis there. There we go. Second time's a charm. Or even third, where you can see where our disagreements are pretty fundamental. I mean, they're very, very fundamental. Now, I don't dislike the guy. Seems like a pretty cool cat, actually. And we've actually had some fun discussions, but this is one where we just fundamentally disagree. And it is one of those, I get a feeling we're going to, you shall not pass, because he's going to watch us eventually. But I don't know if he's going to go, Phil, by Job, by golly, you're fucking right. I'm fucking down. I'm down with the clown till I'm dead in the ground. Yes, I'll have him reciting ICP lyrics. He's going to be so on my side. But no, I'm looking forward to his eventual, I hope he responds. But that was my general thought on the substance there. Bandit goes, in my experience, they're more likely to hide behind a block versus calling it out. There's that. There is that. They do kind of like hide behind their numbers. But now I'm going to get into the form, which to me can be as important. Now, Cypher, I could tell, was trying to hold back as hard as he could. He was trying to not let it go, which that was what I like as somebody just watching on the forum and like putting the substance in the forum in two different boxes. I wanted him to release more. I wanted him to get a little more fired up and actually get some by God passion into this discussion, because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that passion is somehow an error. But no, I mean, turn on any Sunday morning preacher and they will tear the landscape up with their passion. Let me tell you what I did this weekend. The devil tried to get over me. The devil tried to get a hold of me. And I said, devil, you get out. Like, that's the kind of fire in your belly that you see the Sunday morning preachers. There was a few moments there where Cypher needed to really let loose a little more, and he needed to let his passions fly there, because that's one of the instances where the viewer would actually been more persuaded, honestly. And I'm not saying scream at the camera for 20 minutes, but I'm saying your passion was, you were trying too hard to hold it. Let the folks see that, okay? I mean, we're not like, everybody tries to be so fucking monk-like when they're talking about this shit. We're not machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. We're men and women. We have the love of humanity within us. So that's what I would really advise, is to really let that out more. Cypher, is you were far too reserved. Like I'm trying to do the same thing with Tiberius and Nate, which I will be bringing him up shortly, but I'm trying to, like, there's a firebrand preacher in there somewhere, and I know you can bring it out of you. And you just got to get that fire in your belly and let the people know that this is something that you care about. This is something that you got passionate about. This is something that you've got the gusto to back up. And so that's what I recommend to you, Cypher. If you make it this far, bravo. But I would just say there was even a moment where it looked like you were even like wiping your tear and you were trying to like, and I was just thinking, damn it, let that out. That's real. That's fucking real. Why are you like pretending it's not? And so I like, we're not monks and we're not machines. We're human beings and we're allowed to have these kind of reactions. Okay. Like now there's two things also I'm going to recommend. Now I know this is kind of our age group, but I can't even just drop that. It comes across as it's not relatable at the very least. It's one of those. It's like the audience is just gonna kind of cringe whenever somebody. I just can't even though it's something really serious. It's something very fucking serious. I get it, but it's just one of those things that I would just purge from one's nomenclature, and also for your own sanity. That's one of those like, oh, I'm just so exhausted by the world. Let me tell you, like that's just one of those like, oh, come on, Cypher. We've talked. You're better than that. Come now, Bandit. The Visine check didn't clear. No tears. God damn it. I love you, Bandit. But so that is my take there on Cypher and gun control in both substance and form. Once again, CrowdSourcedPolitics on YouTube. Cypher's a neat guy that you can run into on the Mask Off podcast with Tiberius D. Definitely check that out on YouTube and Twitch now, and even TikTok. Yep, Tiberius is on TikTok, my God. And it's always funny to watch his TikToks. Like, hey guys, you want me to do a lot of math for you about generations and stuff? And TikTok's like, math? Ew. Like, so like it's kind of fun to watch. But yeah, the Mask Off podcast where you'll run into Cypher, Tiberius D, and of course Phil K.O.E on K.O.E Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. Thanks. God bless on that. But
smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do if I ever get back. I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you get slow, it's hard to survive. El Dorado. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see how that one went.
Yeah.